Welcome everyone. My name is Andrew Mendelowitz, and today I'm pleased to have 4 members of the board of Gold Basin Resources Corporation. I'll introduce them. The CEO, Mike Povey, Charles Straw, who is the president of the company. We've got John Robbins, who's the chairman and director, and Darren Klink, a director altogether. Welcome everyone. I'm aware that a lot of people watching today might not be full bottle on the company, so what I'd like to do is start with Mike Povey. Mike, maybe you can give a little bit of a brief summary of the project.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. The project area is concentrated just in the it's approximately 50 miles southeast of Vegas in Arizona. It's an area, actually, the Gold Basin area there is something which had virtually no modern exploration apart from some work done in the 80s and early 90s, and since that period of time very little has been done. It's been sitting in limbo for the best part of 20 years is what it amounts to. We've got a fairly substantial ground package in the area. It's been an area where the kind of gold mineralization there has been a series of old workings that were done back in the early part of the century, and then some sort of open pit work in the late sort of 1930s, really, before a bit of extra work in the early 1980s. But an area which is essentially really underexplored in terms of a modern sense. There's been historical drilling, which we've pulled together, which showed us interest in the project initially, but it's to say that there was really no systematic drilling of the project area. And that's what we've been able to do in the last year and a bit, where we've been able to actually get an idea of exactly what's going on structurally with the project. And from that point of view, we're drilling, we're getting some really good results, and you know, we've got a new program started in November, where I think we'll be able to actually come out with a resource statement at the end of that.
Fantastic. And John, you jumped on board pretty quickly, about a year ago, if I remember correctly, through the Discovery Group. Maybe you can also have a bit of a chat about what the Discovery Group is and what you look for and why you jumped on board of this project.
Well, I guess the thing that we at Discovery Group look for mainly are projects that have a clear path to development and I guess an obvious exit strategy. And that exit strategy could be many things. It could be the sale of a company. It could be the opportunity to put it into production, things like that. You know, one of the things that really resonated with me was one of our recent successes, which was the sale of a company by the name of Kaminak, which we sold to Gold Corp for $500 million about 4 years ago. And I always say that was an overnight 10-year success story. And, you know, what I realized is that early stage projects, you know, have a very long timeline, if at all, to any kind of an exit strategy. And what attracted me to this project was, when I looked at it about a year ago, was there was a lot of historical work. There was an absence of modern exploration, but there was a clear path to developing a significant resource here in a jurisdiction where you're going to be able to develop it. It's great to find a large deposit, but if it's in the wrong jurisdiction, it's not worth anything. Here, we're in one of the best jurisdictions in North America. You've got clearly massive exploration upside, which was reinforced with our site visit. And based on the historic drilling prior to our involvement, and most recently the drilling that we've done, there's a clear path towards developing a resource here. So those are the kind of key things that we look for. And the other thing, of course, is a strong technical team. And we have that in the case of Mike and Charles here, and on the ground in the US, Cal, Aaron. So you've got a good technical team. We bring strong financial resources and our own technical background And then, of course, you got a strong project that clearly has massive exploration upside. So for us, it ticks all the right boxes.
Darren, what's it that's really attracting you about the project and what you're seeing and the year coming up, I think?
Yeah, no, thanks, Andrew. So yeah, I know I've been involved with John and Jim in the Discovery Group for really the last 4 years or so. I more recently was president and CEO of Bluestone Resources, which is one of the Discovery Group companies. And so a long history, and John can talk about that, I think, probably in a moment, a long history of success here, throughout the Americas and elsewhere. On really finding good opportunities, putting good teams together, and then really kind of nurturing those businesses to see them grow and be successful. I think, as Mike was mentioning, there's a lot of history here, but in my discussions with Charles last year and earlier this year, there's a lot of mystique to it as well. There's dusty boxes and lockups. There's keys that were never found. There's 20 years of history here that was kind of all pulled together, and land that was consolidated. And then having just had a chance to come back from visiting 2.5 weeks ago, you really got a sense of the opportunity that exists there. And of course, we think about Arizona, the largest copper mines in North America are just south on that same, mineral trend belt. So pretty exciting part of the world. We're just kind of getting into it. And I think, Charles and Michael will talk a little bit more about that later.
Where are we sitting now? And then what work programs are we going to be doing for the next few months? And what are we working towards in this next year?
All right, thanks, Andrew. Look, I guess where we're up to at the moment is we completed a fairly large, what we call a phase 1 drilling program focusing on the cyclopic. That program delivered some excellent results that exceeded expectations, particularly with the continuity of the gold mineralization, how close it is effectively to surface, but also the lateral continuity. What it's also shown us is that the deposit remains open in all directions, and that's always a very good thing to have with a deposit such as this. So since that drilling program was completed, we've been doing a number of studies effectively gearing up for a further RC and diamond program that will be starting at the end of this month. We'll drill for a number of months, and at the end of that we will have enough drilling density in both the cyclopic and the stealth deposits for us to move both of those deposits towards a mineral resource estimate. We've also got some geophysics planned, an IP survey which has never been done on the project, and we're anticipating that's going to help us understand the extent of some of these structural features that are hosting the oxide gold mineralization, and continuing to refine further targets outside those two main deposits. And that's critical. We've got another 10 to 12 targets that are effectively undrilled across this 30 square kilometre land package. So we've got no shortage of further targets to chase. And it's very clear from the historical work and the work we've done that we're dealing with a very, very large system. And we're just going to very systematically, drill it and continue to, delineate, further resources.
The first phase drilling was about 10,000 meters. In this program, you're looking at roughly how many, and where's the biggest priority?
Oh, look, we'll look to effectively replicate that. We'll do around about another 10,000 meters. About 60 to 70% of those meters will be at the cyclopic. A lot of that will be expansion and effectively, filling in data gaps. And we've got about another 3,000 meters planned at the stealth deposit again, to focus on, strike extensions and to fill in gaps.
Mm-hmm. And have you got a good sense of the tenement suite as a sort of a generalized thing now? What's going on there?
Yeah, we do have a pretty good idea. I guess the new results that we're getting at the moment, including a large, airborne aeromagnetic survey that's currently being modelled. We've done some other, broad scale surveys as well. So it's all feeding in now to effectively refining, an exploration model and a deposit model.
Fantastic. And the network and the likelihood of a upcoming resource?
I'll let Mike jump in and just discuss the met. Yeah, the metallurgical work, we completed, a total of 6 diamond drill holes actually in the deposit, 2 in stealth and 4 in the cyclopic. The larger PQ core that we did in cyclopic, that's been cut and it's been delivered to KCA in Reno. They'll be undertaking the work essentially now, from now on. So we'd expect with all their leach testing and the rest of the remainder of metallurgical work on this, be a 90-day sort of period on the initial results. So we'll be getting results on the deposit metallurgical wise in sort of, I'd say about 4 months from now. 100 days, 120 days would be a realistic sort of target from now on. We did have some work done in the 1990s, albeit on some very high grade samples on a deposit. Gold price was different in those days, and they concentrated on some high grade sections of the cyclopic deposit. So we do have a good feel that there was no nasties or unexpected things in the test work they did back in the 90s, but very obviously this is all now being redone with cores that are taken in 4 areas along the cyclopic deposit. So that'll be the sort of tick in the box with regard to how sort of metallurgical side is. We don't, in all honesty, we don't expect any real issues with this, because in the system so far we've literally just got gold. There is nothing else that's been recorded. There's a tiny amount of silver, which is often in an area in quantities which are similar to the gold levels, but as far as we're concerned, it's really just pretty clean, which is surprisingly. So we expect to get a result similar to what was achieved in the 90s in terms of a pretty decent recovery from this particular ore.
And the expectation of resource in the new year?
Yep. After these drill programs, we'll be working on a resource. So that'll come early in the new year. I think it's fair to say the work that we did on our last drill program, we had a great deal of continuity in the north-south area. I think it's fair to say that this thing is pretty flat lying. What we found out, which filled in some gaps on the historical drilling that we was aware of, is that we've got a very, very flat lying deposit. In areas, these various layers blend into one another to form more solid intersections. So far, we've got a real good continuity effectively on a north-south line, but east-west, there's a central section, and we've got historical drilling which is outside of that, and shows very obvious gaps where these flat line structures are on the same levels, but we've got no drill information in between. And that's what we've got to sort of concentrate on, because this is what either side of this central zone that runs essentially 1.8 kilometres in the cyclopic at the moment, although it will extend north. It's certainly every indication is that it will extend north. The north-south continuity is good, and we're now got to extend it east-west particularly to extend that continuity. So we kind of expect a substantial sort of growth in that area with the new drilling, and we'll be looking at the resource definition as Charles has said. By the time we have this completed, we should be looking at both the resource definition for stealth and the cyclopic main structure.
Fantastic. It sounds like we're going to be busy until the end of the year and into the first quarter of next year.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for joining me today, and we look forward to another one of these sometime soon.
Great. Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you.
Thank you.